I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had some technical difficulties. We've worked through that. And there's something my dad used to say every time we would go on a road trip. What he would say is that, son, I'd just feel better if something would go wrong. Because I know something's going to go wrong, and if it would just go wrong already, then we could get it over with. And look at us. We're ahead. The PowerPoint wasn't working, but now it is. All right, so guys, I want to be really fair to you and tell you that this is a discussion about what I see, what I've observed in high-performing businesses. But in case you're looking for something more specific, like this is an hour-long talk about marketing or getting more inspections, it's not going to be that. Are you guys in the right place? I just want to make sure. Okay, because there's a couple of awesome, really good speakers on the other side of the walls. Wouldn't hurt my feelings if somebody was like, man, I thought this was going to be the golden ticket to more inspections. Okay, so we're all in the same place then, or in the right place then. So let's do it. So what we do in Inspector Empire Builder is train and coach home inspection company owners and their teams using proven systems and processes in service operations and growth so that you can have rapid growth, higher profit, and time freedom. Let's see if I got that right. I missed one word. That's okay. Now we've got 2 mistakes. It's fine. So it's nice to meet you guys. I know I got to meet some of you this morning when I said all of you are with me and made you chant that silly thing. Are you guys still with me for the day? Yeah. Still feeling pretty good for the day? Thank you. You're with me. Yeah, and so we're going to go through really what I think is a pretty practical talk today so that you guys can actually go do things in your business. That's my goal, okay? I don't want to give you a high-level conversation that's conceptual or just inspiring. I want to just have a conversation with you guys about what I see out in the industry and other industries, what I see the highest performing people doing consistently well. Okay. I bet you there are some things that you guys already do consistently well in your business. But I'd like to understand a little bit about who's in the room here. So who here has an inspection company or is a leader in an inspection company? Okay, good, good. Who here, just kind of going from the ground up, who's a solopreneur in the industry? Okay, got a good handful. Who's got a team of maybe 2 to 4 inspectors? Okay, anybody above that? Got a handful? Good. Let's just see where we're going. So who's got more than 10 inspectors on their team? One over here? Okay, cool. Well, we found our cutoff. Congratulations. So the things that I'm going to talk about, oftentimes when I talk about them, people feel like maybe they're too big for my business stage, or maybe they don't make sense for where I am, or maybe I'm just too busy to implement these things. Wherever you are in your business, inconsequential, doesn't matter. These things fit every single business stage, just to establish that right away. You guys with me on that? Ooh, thank you. I'm going to teach you guys a term real quick. This is not in the presentation, but I got to share it, okay? Somebody just told me I need to, and you just reminded me. You remember SMAGE? Yeah. All right. So when I say same page, I say same page a lot in my talks because I learned that from a speaking coach that it was a great way to say something and have you guys see me pause and then you guys would connect with me. So sometimes I'll be talking and I'll say, same page? And everybody in IEB says SMAGE now because my son, apparently I also do this a lot in parenting. Son, same page? Same page, son? And he could not be bothered one day to say the entire word, same phrase, same page. And so he says, SMAGE, Dad. And I was telling that story from the stage one day at IEB, and there was hundreds of people that said, SMAGE. And it's just a thing now. We got T-shirts, SMAGE, every time I say same page. So if you guys want to crack me up in the middle of the talk at some point when I say same page, just say SMAGE. All right, here we go. So we're going to do this in just 5 points. And so if you have your pen and your notepad, you might even just number it 1 through 5 and see if you can get all the points down. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get through as deep as I want to go in all of these things. My goal, though, is going to be to leave a little bit of room at the end for some Q&A so we can kind of have a conversation, again, go back and forth. Yeah, let's do it. So I've been playing around with AI myself, and just so you guys know, Mark here is not a real inspector, okay? Can you believe it? Mark here, I had to cut this off, but I laughed for 10 minutes because he's got a third hand sticking out of his pocket holding the clipboard for him. That's one of the secrets to success, you guys. Just have an extra hand in your pocket. So I don't use stories from real companies in my talks very often because as a coach, I want to honor confidentiality and I never turn anybody's hardships into lessons or anything like that. But I want to tell you the story of Mark. And Mark represents many of the people who come to us for business coaching. They usually come from either a place of pain or a place of inspiration. Either things are so chaotic they don't know what to do, and so they're in a place of pain, or they just listened to an Alex Hormozy YouTube video and they're inspired, and so they jump in and they want business coaching. There's not many Alex fans in the room? Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yep. So Mark is representative of what is statistically most of the inspectors in the industry. So he's in his third career. He wanted to become his own man after being in the trades for a while. He's something like 50 to 55 years old. And he doesn't quite know what he's doing. He just knows he needs to do something. And so he jumped in. He started this business. He wants financial freedom, time freedom. He's thinking big. He's got actually like super clear, actionable stuff going on in his world too. He knows what he wants. Time freedom, financial freedom. And so he gets to work. He wants to be the best inspector in town. Does anybody have that as a goal? I want to be the best inspector in town. Have you heard one of my talks before? She said, don't put your hand up. But this is what most people have in their minds, something like this. I'm going to grow my business by being the best technician that I can possibly be. It's a great strategy. It works. It really does. So Mark is willing to do anything, and he works 15-plus hour days. He's writing reports all the time. He's answering his phone at all hours of the day, weekend, mornings, nights. And Mark is a mover and a shaker. Because of all this, like he's filled up his schedule. He's super busy. He doesn't really feel like building the company anymore, though. Because Mark's been doing this for something like 5 years. He's really busy, and he sees that vision getting a little more foggy each year. And it's getting a little more difficult to kind of see the steps it takes to get the financial freedom and the time freedom that he really wanted. In fact, at this point, he's gotten so sort of tired of the business that he's just in pain. And a lot of people end up in this place because they've built a business. A lot of people end up in this place because they've done such a good job being the best technician in town that agents only want to use them. And so they're busy and he's pulling his hair out. He can't find that time freedom that he's looking for. Has anybody been there? Oh yeah, very common. So because he's so busy, his family and his health start slipping, and he knows it, but he doesn't feel like he has the time to do anything about it. He really doesn't take the time to slow down and plan and get clear on things. He's always chasing the same agents because they'll use him, and then they forget about him because he's so busy servicing the other agents. And so he's like, I haven't heard from this person in a while. I better give him a call. And he chases that one down. And then he goes and has to chase this one down because he was chasing that one. And before you know it, he's just basically recapturing the same handful of agents all the time. And that's his marketing plan. If I could just juggle the same agents all the time while I'm hoping for more agents or home buyers or whoever you're going after. Sounding familiar at all? Okay. When we look at Mark's life year over year, he's basically in survival mode, and he looks the same every year. He started off with a dream. He started off with a clear vision and a path, but he's just standing on the starting line, looking at the path, going, I sure wish I could walk that. It's pretty interesting to see thousands of companies living this all over the country because they are not sure what the answer is to busyness, what the answer is to lacking clarity, what the answer is to actually building the life that you set out to build in the first place. And so, for Mark, after 5 years, he's got one foot in his company, and 1 foot looking for anything else to provide the dream he had in the beginning. He is absolutely stuck. He doesn't know why. Poor Mark. Mark represents most of the people in our industry. And in case that sounds hyperbolic, what I mean is that most people will come into our industry, get their training, and never even do an inspection. The next tier is people who come in and they struggle, they kick the tires for a little bit, they never quite fill their own capacity. They're out within something like a year to 2 years, maximum 3 to 5. Then there's another group of people who will come in and they'll fill their capacity. They'll get full as a solopreneur, and they'll even maybe hire a guy here and there. They'll do some overflow, very common pattern, and then that person leaves, and then it's all back on them. They hire another person, and that person leaves, and it's all back in them. We see this repeated for decades in people's lives. That hurts. To talk to somebody who says, yeah, I know exactly what I want. I just don't know how to stop doing what I'm doing. Well, let me introduce you to Julie. Julie's also not real, although it's a more positive story. Julie doesn't have any third hands or anything like that, but she does have something going on that Mark didn't, so see if you can pick it up. Julie similarly represents the industry in that she's at something like her second or third career. She's in her late 40s, early 50s. She wants financial freedom. She wants time freedom. She has a huge vision, loves being a home inspector, just like Mark. Absolutely loves it. Do you guys love being a home inspector? Anybody here? Like you actually love the work? Yeah, some of us love the work. She is willing to do anything. Julie decided from day one that she was going to build a company rather than a job. She constantly invests in herself so that she is never the lid on her business. She listens to podcasts and books and surrounds herself with like-minded people who are just as driven as her. She uses high-performance business principles to avoid the trial and error that a lot of us are just kind of spinning our wheels with, right? Let's just see if this works, kick it in. Let's see if that works. If it sticks to the wall, great. So Julie's not playing that game. She wants to be the market's best business, not the market's best home inspector, which is a completely different frame. And so she gets a different result. So she works about 6 hours a day if she chooses to. In the evenings, she's able to pour into time with her family and do the other things that she loves, and she has hobbies. Do you guys remember those? Does anybody remember hobbies? She's got hobbies, and she's not trapped as the primary inspector. Even if one of her inspectors is out, she's not having to jump back in. And she's got a network of peers who are driven just like she is, which helps keep her excited about business, which is a key driver of success, is that you want to do it. You're excited about it. And so her peer group helps her stay that way. The companies that I see like Julie are thinking different from the very start. I want to build a business. I want to be the best business I can be rather than the best technician I could be. You guys see that difference? Okay. So just a couple of the key differences here between Mark and Julie. Mark's got a technician focus. He's going alone. He won't slow down enough to plan, strategize, or even execute the things he does know. And his answer to everything is more inspections. I don't have any money, more inspections. I'm not doing well at marketing, more inspections. I don't have a future, more inspections. I don't have a peer group, more inspections. Haven't talked to my son in a week, more inspections. I'm 50 pounds overweight, more inspections. This is real life, guys. For a lot of us in the industry, and just small business in general, the answer is more work. The thing that's killing me must be the answer. True story. A lot of people are living that way. For Julie, though, she's got a business building focus. She's got a peer group. She's focused on growing herself. She refuses to be too busy to work on the business, and her answer to everything is, can you guys say that word, if you can read it? Who? Did you guys hear that owl? That was for me. Her answer to everything is, who can help me with this? Man, I'm like, the seasonality in my business is kicking my butt. I'd like to smooth it out and not have these big ups and downs. Who can teach me how to do that? I want to bring some new technology into the business. Who can teach me how to do that? I want to get some time freedom in my business. Who can help me with that? If you guys take nothing else away from this talk today, that's one thing you can stick in your pocket. Anytime you run up against something that you need to either learn or break through, if you would shift your mind to who rather than how, your whole world will change. Okay. So practically speaking, none of this is magic. Like I said, these are practical things that we're going to take a look at. It's consistent and powerful execution with the basics. Consistent and powerful execution with the basics. The basics. The basics, you guys. I'm saying it like this because we all have this bias, this weird thing about us that makes us want to dive into the complex. We think that in order to grow a business or a team or a great growth strategy, it has to be complex and have tons of moving pieces and all of these things and softwares and all this stuff. But the truth is simplicity is what we're looking for. Okay? So these are all the basics. Now that we've got ourselves looking through that lens, next time you think to yourself, I've got a problem that I could solve with one of these 5 points, remember, these are just the basics. Anytime you have a problem in life or in business, we got to get back to the basics. Thank you. Thank you for participating. All right, so here's the first one. Again, we're not going to have time to go into every single detail of all these things. Feel free to take a picture of this if it would be helpful, but one of the things we teach and we see actively happening under the roof of high-performance businesses is that they have an operating system, a personal operating system in this case. And so it goes like this. From the top, a 3 to 5 year vision. Okay, we've already established that Mark had a vision, but he's so busy, things are so chaotic, he can't think further out than today. That's a recipe for hating your business. One of the things that causes you to have the most excitement about your business is thinking further out than today. And so a 3 to 5 year vision is critical for you to stay excited about your business, to have a target, and then the rest of this is about aiming at your target. 2 very different skills. How many of you guys have created a vision for your life or your business? Question? Okay. How many of you have created a life or created a vision for yourself and then been like, that is so pretty. I'm going to walk this way. Yeah, I've done it. We all do it. It's one thing to have a target. It's a whole other thing to actually aim at the target. So the high performers understand that there's a connection here. And so they have a 3 to 5 year vision for their business that all of their team is oriented to. Or if you're a solopreneur, then you are pointed at it as well. And everything you do, all your actions are run through this filter. Does it fit the roadmap? Will it move me closer to my 3 to 5 year vision, or will it take me further away? Now there's a bonus here. As a high-performance business coach, I tell people and coach people to start with life vision. Have you guys ever actually created a life vision? Kind of goes like this. What do I want my life to look like in something like 3 to 5 years? How much time do I want to be spending in the business? Who do I want around me? How do I want to be interacting with my family? What does my health look like? Where do I live? Really getting vivid and really getting specific with your life vision, knowing what you want in life so that, can you guys say so that? That is a magic phrase. I'll talk more about that later. So that you have a reason to excel in business. You don't have to raise your hand with this one, but I know that in a room this size, there's a significant percentage of people that have no reason to excel in their business, and so they're not. They want to. It's just not tied to anything. So a life vision gives you a reason to excel in your business, 3 to 5 year life vision, so that you can complete your 3 to 5 year business vision. That makes sense to you guys? Same page? All right. So once we have a compelling long-term picture of what we want to do with our life and our business, then we get into our annual strategic planning. Annual strategic planning is very important, and I think this is where most of us are probably relatively skilled, right? We can think in terms of a year and say, well, what's my strategy for this year? What are the KPIs or the goals or the things I want to accomplish? Most commonly for us, it's how many inspections, how much money, how many agents, things like that, right? Okay. There are other things, in case you didn't know, but that was a joke, guys. Okay. I guess all the jokes are for me today, but a one-year strategic plan is something that you sit down and you strategize and you think to yourself, in 1 year, what do I want to look back on and be proud about in my business and in my life? It's that easy. What do I want to be proud about? Now, people can get themselves in trouble here because when they think about business planning and strategic goals, I hear this all the time. They can say things like, well, we had 50% growth in year one. I guess we'll have 50% growth every year, or 150% growth, or we're going to grow by 400%. These people tell me these numbers, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about goal setting. But the point is strategic goals have to be realistic and stretch goals, right? And so in your annual strategic plan, you would have realistic stretch goals for your business. That's a whole different talk, knowing your numbers and setting proper goals. But so 3 to 5 year vision, annual strategic planning. Your annual goals have to be specific and measurable. You guys remember the old term SMART goals? It's still super smart to have SMART goals, you guys. So all your goals have to be specific and measurable, realistic, timely. That's a really good frame. All right, so your quarterly strategy reviews and pivots. So as we're breaking down our year, we go annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. Those are the rhythms. They're right here in front of you. And so on the quarterly level, this is when we evaluate our strategy. If you did a great job with your annual strategic plan, on a quarterly basis, you ask yourself, is my strategy working? If it is, keep going, double down even. If it's not, this is the time to shift strategies, to pivot. Hopefully not any more than quarterly. That's critical. It's very important. Now, I know what happens under the roof of most inspection businesses is we're changing things basically daily. It can feel like we need to change strategies every other week. I'm going into social media today, didn't work. Next week I'll do relationship marketing, and that didn't work. So the next week I'll do social media, and that didn't work. And this happens to people all the time. And so assuming we did all the work of having a great strategic plan, we shouldn't need to pivot more than about quarterly. You guys got that? Okay. Now when we get to our monthly checkpoints, these are about evaluating your activity. Okay, so now whether you're a solopreneur or a giant team, the question is, am I doing the things I said I was going to do in business to achieve my annual goal? For a lot of you, that's as simple as, am I picking up the phone and making the calls? Or am I going to the open houses? Am I actually pointed toward my target? And if your activity does not have you on track to meet your quarterly strategy goals so that you can meet your one-year strategic plan, so that you can meet your 3 to 5 year vision, what do? You change the goal. Change the activity. Yep. So monthly, we're not changing the strategy or changing the goal. We're actually just saying, man, I'm doing a great job. I'm going to keep going. Or get your butt in gear and do what you said you were going to do in your business. Guys got that? Monthly. Weekly is something different. On a weekly basis, we want to have a rhythm of goal review. If you have a team, we want to have a rhythm of focusing the team towards what's most important. And then your daily rhythms. Down here, that's mostly for you personally, your daily routines, morning, daily, evening, and how you conduct yourself in business. It will be the engine of how your business performs. Whether you like that or not, how you perform as a person is going to dictate how your business performs. So if there's a problem in the business, start with you, right? Okay. So we could talk about this for the entire hour, but we have 4 other things to get to. So did everybody get their picture of this? Here's what I'm going to challenge you guys with. This is a personal operating system that you can implement as soon as you get home, and it's very simple. Each of these needs to be a meeting on your calendar. So you're going to have an annual strategy meeting with yourself or with your team. You're going to have quarterly meetings to evaluate your strategy in business to see if it's working. You're going to have a monthly meeting to evaluate the activity that you've done in something like 4 to 5 week periods. You're going to have weekly checkpoints with yourself, and you're also going to have your routines sort of ironed out on your calendar. If it's not on your calendar, what do they say? Ain't happening. It's not happening. All right, so let's move to the next thing I see. This is actually part of your operating system, but I want to go a little deeper into this one because it's critical. A lot of the people I talk to in business who are confused about what their next step is, my first question is, well, are you looking at your goals every week? They're like, oh yeah, I had goals. That's right. You had me do that exercise. I wrote down all those goals. I just haven't been looking at them. You guys, I'm going to show my nerd side here for a second. Is this a safe space for me to do that? Are you laughing at me or with me? I don't know. At me? At me? Okay, listen. Thank you. So there's some neurology here, okay? So when we think of behavior science, different things like that, we apply a lot of that to coaching. We just don't always say those nerdy words. But repetition of thought is what creates habit. And when you are looking at your goals on a weekly rhythm, maybe even more than that if you need to, but at least on a weekly rhythm, even if it's just skimming them, what you're doing is you're creating pathways in your brain that make those things actionable, faster, and you're able to recall them very quickly. Why is that important? That's important because when they become habit in your mind to think about your goals, you're going to start to look through that lens with every decision you make. That's important. Remember, we want to have a target, but we also want to aim at the target. And part of aiming at the target is making sure we're reviewing our goals, making sure we're orienting ourselves toward the target. You guys with me on that? Okay. So, weekly goal review is really easy. It's not super complex. It's the concept of just having a checkpoint. For me personally, I do it on Sunday evenings or Monday mornings, depending on how the weekend goes. I'll have a sheet filled out with the goals that I have for the year. I just read them. I'm not changing them. I'm not working on them. I'm not going super deep. I'm just making my brain look at them. Super simple. But here's a couple of tips for you. So this is the concept of having all of your goals tied to something bigger than the goal. Every single goal in your life should be tied to something bigger so that it has a reason to excel, just like we said about the business. So here in your weekly goal review, it should be something like, here's what I'm focused on this week so that I will accomplish my monthly activity goal, so that I will be on track for my quarterly strategy, so that I will be on track for my annualized goals, so that I will accomplish my 3 to 5 year vision. So that. It's a magic coaching phrase. I use it a lot. You could use it too. Okay. Every single time you're asking yourself what you should be doing or even justifying what you're doing in your business, try that phrase out. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because, so that. That's how you tie everything you're doing to something bigger than the thing you're doing. It's a really good phrase. You want to leverage the neurology. I already told you about that. You want to aim at your target. This eliminates mission creep. Anybody here use that term before, mission creep? It tells me a lot about you if you know that term. And this builds serious momentum. Everything I do in coaching is wrapped around that word. All of it. Because consistency beats intensity every single time. And consistency is all about building momentum, right? Build momentum, keep the momentum going. The only way to do that, the entire equation, is to get it moving, keep it moving. And that's what weekly goal review does for you. So, as an action item, by the end of the day, you guys could have a 20-minute meeting with yourself scheduled for Sunday or maybe Monday morning to just ask yourself what you're really focused on. All right, so number 3 is optimize your time constantly. As I'm talking to the high performers, you know what they never do? They never say, no, Mark, I can't meet with you, I'm too busy. It's rare. to hear that from people who are running a really high-level team, or they have excellence in business. They're a high performer, as we say, because they're not busy. They're purposeful. They're constantly optimizing for time rather than for money. That's different. When you are in the early stages of your business, you're optimizing for money. How many jobs can I fit in today? How many phone calls can I make to lead to more jobs? You're optimizing for revenue and for money. But the high performers are typically looking through a different lens, and you may have to earn it by optimizing for money first. I want to be real about that. But we want to get to this point where we're looking through the lens of removing as many roadblocks to our success as possible. This is another place where we could spend an entire afternoon just talking about high-performance business strategies. High-performance tactics is what these are. But things like time blocking, time batching, eliminating task switching, and tackling those roadblocks. So I love the concept of doing way less in your business and accomplishing way more. Does that feel like a lofty goal or something you guys would want? I want to do way less and get a lot more done. It's possible. It's 100% possible. You know how you do it? Who? It's a great answer. Thank you, Julie. It's completely possible, but you have to be clear on what you're doing. So that's step one. Something like a 3 to 5 year vision, maybe. You have to be crystal clear on what the objectives are, maybe something like an annual strategy meeting or a list of goals you might accomplish on a yearly basis. And you've got to have a rhythm of reviewing your activity and your strategy, maybe something like a quarterly or monthly rhythm. It's critical that we have all that in place so that when we do things like this, really all we're doing is making room for the dream we have. We're making room for the work that will actually get us there. And so what this looks like is on a weekly basis. This is what it looks like for me and a lot of the people we coach, at least. Maybe you can find a different rhythm for it. But on a weekly basis, we take a look at the calendar, and we make sure that as many things as possible are blocked into our calendar that tie directly to our higher level goals. For those of you who have larger teams, this could be things like making sure you are future-oriented. You're putting in systems, processes, maybe even writing the playbook for other people to run the business for you. For people who are maybe lower on the business stage and in that solopreneur level, this is going to be things like making sure that I am purposefully carving out time to work on my business. Which is not, by the way, catching up on the things that you're behind on, like it feels like sometimes. I'm going to work on my business, so that means I'm going to catch up on reports and answer the phone. Not that. I know how this goes. A lot of us get stuck there. So we're going to take a look at our calendar. We're going to make sure that the most important things are there, even if it means not taking an inspection. One of the biggest objections to people jumping into coaching, any coaching program, but specifically with us, is that they're so busy they don't have time for coaching, or time to execute, or time to do anything but inspections. Well, if you're going to stay there, stay there. Awesome. But if you want to build something else, you have to make the time. And so one of those principles is looking at your calendar and saying no, having the courage even to say no to an inspection here and there so that you can stay focused on building the business, building the future. Are you guys willing to do that? Is there anybody in here that's like, no, I'm not doing that? Smidge. This is really important, you guys. And I don't mean to just like beat it to death. I do mean to beat it into your heads, though. If you are not going to make time for the things that are most important, you're going to be like Mark. You're going to be the same every single year. You're going to hit the same ceiling. This is what we see. Somebody will go up in their business. They'll hit this ceiling right here. They'll go, dang, this is painful. They'll go back down to what's comfortable. And they'll say, man, I really feel inspired. And they go back up to this ceiling. And they hit the same ceiling. They go back down to what's comfortable over and over and over again. But I'm telling you right now, as simple as it sounds, this is the path out of that. Do less, get more done. Time batching is a little bit different. Time batching is when you take all the things that are similar on your calendar and you group them together. So for example, if you're going to do outreach, maybe you're going to call 10 agents a week or something as you're building your business. It shouldn't be like, I'll call an agent while I'm driving in between inspections, right? It should be more like, I'm carving out 2 hours to just do phone calls and outreach so that you can get yourself into that mindset, that you can do it with excellence, and that it actually gets done. Okay? All right. Tackle roadblocks before they occur. Sounds simple, but we have to define what a roadblock is. What would you guys say a roadblock is in your business? I can't eliminate yourself, although sometimes that's probably needed. What do you guys think?
Training.
Sorry? Training, sure. Okay. Regulation. Oh, could be. Yeah. What would be a roadblock that you have control over? Processes. Okay. Let me just get a little more basic with you guys. Remember, basics? How about distractions? Things that kind of pull your focus away from what you should be focused on during the day. Cats. How about bad clients? How about systems that you haven't put in place yet, and so you have to keep reinventing the wheel or making it up as you go over and over and over again? How about what Mark was doing? Chasing the same clients all the time rather than building that system that keeps them coming back to you. We could define roadblocks a lot, but what I would define them as is something that's slowing you down or creating friction in your business or otherwise just taking you off track. So it could be people, could be a system, could be your market, whatever. You get to make it up. But if it's taking you off track or slowing you down or creating friction, we'd consider it a roadblock. And so when we're looking at our week and we're doing our blocking and our batching and we want to eliminate roadblocks, that's what we're going to ask. Is there anything in my week that's going to knock me off track? Let's tackle that right now. Let's come up with a plan. Let's get honest. Like sometimes when we're building a business, that could be things outside the business like family activities. It'd be like, I got to fit in the gym. I got to go do things that are not related to the business, and they feel like it's taking us away from the business. It feels like a roadblock. Well, it is a roadblock. If you don't plan those things, you don't block and batch. And so eliminating a roadblock in this case would be something like, let's just make sure they're in their proper place. A really practical example of that is if you run a morning routine for yourself, on your calendar it should say morning routine. If you've got a family, I'd encourage you to put on your calendar family time whenever that's appropriate. Treat it as sacred. All right, I won't go too much deeper into this, but each of these we could just talk about all day. All right, so number 4, understanding the numbers in your business is critical, even though it doesn't feel like it at smaller business stages. This guy, I don't know what you guys think about this. I like this picture, but it kind of makes me think of Breaking Bad for some reason. I don't know where that's coming from in my mind, but I don't know. First career. So, knowing your numbers. Guys, we don't want to drive blind, right? It's so strange to me how many people I've talked to who are wanting to grow a business, and when I say, that's awesome, what are your goals? And they say something like, more. More. Oh, that's awesome. How much money did you make last year? I don't know. Cool, cool. Or maybe they love to tell you how much money they made because you know that number. How much profit did you make? What's profit? Don't think I've ever experienced that. Or maybe what's your market share? Right? Market share is a big one because if you are particularly in a tough market, you want to understand how you're positioned against the market. True in a hot market too, but the principle is something like you want to know if your company is winning or losing in your specific market. And if things take a dip, maybe you take a dip with the market. If things go up, maybe you go up with the market. But what you want to do is outpace your market and go up at a higher rate than your market is going up, or not go down at the same rate that your market goes down if it flexes. You guys get that? That tells you whether or not you are winning or losing with the strategies you're using in business. But if we just have no idea how this stuff works, we have no idea what it is, then we're just guessing. And you know what happens with guessing? It causes us to just make emotional decisions. And we don't want to make emotional decisions in our business. We want to make numbers-driven decisions in our business. We see where the market is headed. We're beating it. Keep doing what we're doing. We see where the market is headed, but we're not headed that way. Even though we're going up in business, we're not going up as much as the market is. We need to change something. Got to know your numbers, you guys. Okay. Here's just a few examples. So market share, transaction volume, inspections done versus foregone. You use all these things to make projections in your business, which helps you make really intelligent goals. I wish I could spend a ton of time on numbers, but that's not the point of this talk. Know your numbers, okay? So these are your financials, these are your KPIs or your key performance indicators in your business, the things that will tell you if you're on track with your goals. And one thing you can do too to understand how you're positioned in your market is loosely understand other people's numbers. If you really want to dive into this, you could actually just open up your ChatGPT, turn on the little deep research button, and say, hey, do a market analysis for my market, and just tell me everything you can find about all of the home inspection companies in my market, the real estate trends, and just get as specific as you want, and it will return back a report. Take it with a grain of salt. Nothing's perfect or exact. Doesn't matter, though. It'll still give you some really good information. Help you move a little closer to making decisions based on the numbers. All right, so this is how we get toward reality versus wishes. This is also how we get to where we're acting on data, which is what we say in business. The numbers tell the story. You need to know how to read the story, right? That way you can follow along. And this is critical, too, for staying connected to agents. That last point there I threw in as kind of a growth-oriented point. If you have the mindset that you're going to know what's going on in your market, you can use that as a way to have conversations and relationships with top producers. Think about just picking up the phone and saying, hey, what are you seeing? I bet some of you have done that before in this room. It's a great strategy. What are you seeing in the market? I want to know from the people I trust. I trust you. Who do you trust? I'd love to connect with them. Connect me with your friends. This is a really great growth strategy. If you can leverage the agents in your market to help you stay on top of your market numbers and your trends, really good tactic. Okay, so this is the fifth point, and this one makes me think that they're planning to do a bank robbery. Are you guys, anybody with me? That's Julie in the mastermind group there. All these are AI-generated photos, and that one just kind of was like, should I redo it? No, we'll rob a bank. It's fine. So refuse to do it alone. Whether it is a mentor, a coach, a mastermind group, jumping into IEB or some other awesome coaching group, there's several of us. Julie refused to do it alone. You should too. You don't have to pay for it. You can develop market peers and friends. You can just find people even outside of the industry to help you grow and build your business by sharing what they've done, but you just can't go very far on your own. So check this out. I spend most of my time in IEB coaching what we call the enterprise level companies. Those are the companies that have 4,000 inspections a year or more. And really what's going on with these people is they understand that their key to success is to understand what other high-performing companies are doing. And so what happens a lot of times is people ask me about this all the time, they start to ask about things like competition. Well, if you guys are all telling each other what you're doing, are you sharing all your secrets? What do I have left if I tell you everything I'm doing in business, right? I'm going to wither away and you're going to take all my secrets. If it was going to work like that, it would have already worked like that. There's no secrets, you guys. So to give you a little bit of a case study and some proof, every single Wednesday morning, for years, couple of them have left IEB since, and so it's no longer this number. But for about 4 years, there were 5 companies just in the Houston market alone who are enterprise-level companies telling each other what they're doing. Every single Wednesday, here's what I'm seeing in the market, here's what I'm doing with my growth team, here's the strategies I'm putting in place, here's the pricing structure that we're trying. We really went far with like airline pricing and figuring out new cool stuff, and a lot of innovation has come out of that room because they understand the value of just not being alone, finding peers in the industry to have wonderful conversations with, to cut that trial and error out. This is one of those things that Julie did really well. She's still excited about her business and she still wants to build it because she's surrounded by people who are positive about their own business. Have you guys ever gone to, let's just call it a meeting, maybe a conference, where everybody there was just sort of negative, just talking about how bad their market is, just talking about how hard it is in business, making excuses for why nothing's going right? Has that happened to you guys? Ever experienced that? Maybe not even in our industry. I remember this in the health coaching space when I was a health coach. Is oftentimes the coaches in that industry that would get themselves into this pattern of talking about why people would never achieve their goals. And they would spend hours talking about why people would never achieve their goals, not realizing that they were creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now you're the coaches who are going to never help people achieve their goals. Congratulations. Way to go. And so it's critical that we surround ourselves with positive people who are excited about what they are doing so that we stay excited about what we are doing. I'm telling you guys, it sounds simple. It's the basics. But if we are excited about what we're doing, we have longevity in business, and we have the ability to cut through a lot of the problems that we face. All right, so here's what I did not observe, or what I did not include in this list, is that the 5 keys to success here, or being a high performer, was taking every single inspection that ever comes your way. Didn't say that. I know you need to sometimes, especially if you're a solo person, just trying to grow business, just getting started. But the highest performers I see have boundaries. They only take a certain number of inspections, they work on their business, and they refuse to give up their work on the business time, their networking time, their personal growth time, their family time, all of the reasons to excel in business in the first place. They refuse to give that up. So I didn't say that it's about taking every single job you can get. It's not about answering your own phone. I know a lot of people get stuck there. I'm answering my own phone all hours of the day, and I don't trust anybody enough to hand this off to somebody else. This is also true of hiring inspectors. I wish I had like $5 for every time I've heard somebody say, nobody will do it as good as me. Nobody here will ever do an inspection the way I'll do an inspection. One person arrogantly told me once, everywhere I go, Mark, I'm the smartest person in the room. They were serious too. They were serious. And so I said, that's awesome. Are you tired of that? Jump into IEB. But if you are the best at what you do, stop doing it, train somebody else to do it because you have a gift. And so a lot of times when people are saying things like, yeah, I just can't hire anybody because I'm the best at what I do, I don't trust that they'll do it as good as me. Well, train them to do it. Like there's a path. I can't get my phone off of me because I'm worried that somebody else isn't going to represent the company like I would. Show them how. All right. I didn't say being the best technician on the team, that's for sure, because what we see as a killer in a high-performance business is that we're looking through the lens of I've got to be the best technician in town. Sorry, guys, that's not the secret. The secret is to be the best business in town. Okay, so we need to make that shift. And then short-sighted planning, of course, that kills us in all kinds of things. We want to be tied to something like 3 to 5 years. And I want to just make one final point about that too. When we think about vision, when we think about thinking further out than today and crafting something that we actually want to aim at and walk toward, it's critical that 2 things are present. 2 things that make a vision powerful. 7 minutes. It's critical that 2 things are created. One is that you have a vision that is vivid. You can see it. You've actually put in the thought work to understand what you want, when it's going to happen, and what all is involved in that. Like I told you at the beginning of this, you can go down to the color of your socks if you want to. Who's going to be in my life in 3 to 5 years? How much time am I going to want to put into the business? What does my life look like outside the business? How do I interact with my kids? What does the business look like? Vivid for both your life vision and your business vision. The second part of it, the second thing, is that it is emotionally compelling. When you look at it, something in you should go, yeah, that's what I want. If ever that's not the case, you can rethink your vision a little bit. That's okay, it's never written in stone, but it's got to be vivid and it's got to be emotionally compelling. You guys with me on that? Cool. All right, so from the top, a personal operating system, weekly goal review. They optimize for time constantly, week over week, rather than optimizing for money. They understand their numbers and they refuse to do it alone. These are the 5 things that I see most commonly with high-performing businesses in our industry and out of our industry. Critical, critical, critical. And all of these things, if you could just pick one of them, all of them could be executed or used as soon as you get home. As soon as you get home. So your business is never going to grow past your level of personal development and commitment to continual improvement. You guys are responsible now. You know that? I don't know if you knew that, but coming into this room and listening to these 5 points means that you are now responsible for doing something with them. You know what would be the worst thing, in my opinion, is if we all came back to inspection fuel next year and you guys were the same. You guys were still stuck at the same ceilings. You were still kind of fuzzy on what you're doing or whatever your pain point is. Maybe you're killing it, but we still don't want to be the same year over year, right? This is the path. As basic as they seem. All right, cool. So, of course, IEB has a booth here. I've talked to a lot of you at the booth already, but feel free to come by and chat with us. If we can help you with any of this, implement your personal operating system or craft your vision or anything like that. We also go deep into all of the systems, processes, financials, high-performing teams, all the things that go into building a high-performance business. That's what we do. So feel free to come by if you could use some help with any of that. And with that, happy to do some Q&A, and my goal was to end a few minutes early so you could get to the keynote. So no hurt feelings if you want to go use the bathroom and get in place for the keynote session. And if you want to stick around for some questions, I'll stick around. But thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here.